Here's the thing that really bothers me, and I predicted this would happen, or I hoped it wouldn't, but I thought it might. I should say, up on Capitol Hill today, Admiral Bradley was there, and the head of the Joint Chiefs, and they briefed the members of Congress, House, and Senate, and they showed them the video of the so-called second tap. And again, I hate this. If you're a Democrat or a Republican who's generally willing to be overly critical, or critical, I should say, of openly critical of President Trump, the video showed that what was done was horrible. That one Democrat Congressman Hines, will play in a second, said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen in his career. And then Tom Cotton and the Republicans who support Donald Trump said nothing to see here, no problem. Same video. And it bothers me because I don't know how the American people could have confidence that these are public servants just doing the public interest as opposed to politics. In any event, that's the big issue up on the Hill. Admiral Bradley, number one, said that Pete Hegseth didn't order everybody to be killed. And that's, of course, what the Washington Post seemed to suggest in its reporting that set this firestorm off. Here's the Post. Hegseth did not issue, or this is Fox News rather, Hegseth did not issue, quote, kill them all order during Venezuela strikes, Admiral tells Congress. So the chronology, if you're to believe the administration and the Admiral, is Pete Hegseth said, go carry out this mission, destroy the ship, and that the second tap was done not to kill these two guys, but to destroy their capability and keep them from transferring the cargo, and that they were collateral damage. And I believe it's the case that you're going to find very few constitutional scholars to say that that's not legal under the current circumstances. Some would, but that's a big difference, I guess is what I'm going to say. All right, as compared to targeting these two guys. Number two, and this goes to the heart of the thing that's bothering me so much because I just think it's bad for America. Number two, this is the New York Times headline. Lawmakers split after viewing video of boat striking survivor killings. Top military officers showed senior members of Congress video of September 2nd attack on a boat suspected of carrying drugs and defended the follow-up strike. So here it is. This is Congressman Hines of Connecticut. I think he's a ranking member on House Intelligence, I'm pretty sure, and a very sober guy in this partisan scale. He's not Adam Schiff, but here's his view when asked what he thought of the video.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Okay, so he says the video is conclusive. One of the worst things he's seen, he said the word, any American. Now, as far as I know, you guys, Tom Cotton's an American, right? Tom Cotton of Arkansas is an American, totally disagrees. Same video. Number 4, please.
Flip a boat, loaded with drugs, bound for the United States, back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists. And just like you would blow up a boat off of the Somali coast or the Yemeni coast, and you'd come back and strike it again if it still had terrorists and it still had explosives or missiles, Admiral Bradley and Secretary Hegseth did exactly what we would expect them to do. Yes, look, this is not like a firefight in some cave in Afghanistan that had 3 people. This was witnessed by literally hundreds of uniformed and civilian personnel at the Pentagon, at Fort Bragg, at other installations. Dozens of them were lawyers. Everybody was watching. Everybody had seen the intelligence and the legal basis leading up to these strikes. Everyone was present during it, and that continues to be the case. There's been no change in the guidance or the order that the Secretary has given to our troopers. And in subsequent strikes, there is an example where survivors actually were shipwrecked and distressed and not trying to continue on their mission. And they were treated, as they should be, as non-combatants. They were picked up by U.S. forces. Just an example of how, of course, our military always obeys the laws of war. Our military also acts within appropriate lawful authority.
Okay, so Senator Cotton was responding to reporters asking him about what Congressman Hines said. Seconds ago, while we were playing Tom Cotton, Congressman Hines was on CNN Live, and he was asked to respond to Tom Cotton, and he said, quote, Tom Cotton's facts are just plain wrong. So, Elizabeth, you're addressing, say, 7th graders, and they see this and they say, Professor Pipko, how could this be? How would you explain to a 7th grade class how this could be?
I didn't think you were going to ask me that. It's a really good question because honestly, I would go back kind of to how you started this, that we're at a really unfortunate politicized time where people are going to kind of pick a side depending on whether they have an R next to their name or a D next to their name. I mean, I watched the same videos you did. I mean, I think it was Himes, right, who came out and said that was literally the worst thing he'd ever seen in his career, like very J6 vibes. This was the worst thing to ever happen since Pearl Harbor, the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then you have Republicans coming out saying if you've seen a drone strike before, you've seen it again now. It doesn't mean anything. So I'd say to seventh graders, I would tell them to stop paying attention to any of this and maybe when they're 18 to get involved. But I think for the average person, like you said, it's a very awkward time for Americans who don't all have the time to go research this strike by themselves and research actual laws around whether you can strike a military target several times, for example, in order to eliminate it and everything else that goes around this issue. And it's a sad time. Honestly, I hate the fact that we have to debate things, whether we are pro-Trump or anti-Trump, and can't just say, hey, this is legal or this is not. But in my eyes, as someone who has, been in Trump world for a very long time, this is to be expected. We have a midterm next year. Anything that is done that can be used and weaponized against Donald Trump is going to be, especially when we can go out and say that, Pete Hegseth is guilty of war crimes, which I obviously don't believe to be the case, but I expect a lot more of this over the next year.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Kevin. Cozy Earth makes clothes and towels and blankets that couldn't be softer, more comfortable, higher quality, and yet now, inexplicably, because America is great, because America is good, 40% off. 40% off everything on the Cozy Earth website, cozyearth.com. Use the promo code two-way. Buy stuff for yourself. Buy stuff for your family. If you've got a man in your life who you think never really thinks much about his pants, buy him some Cozy Earth pants, and he will thank you, and he will ask you for more. They're extraordinary. The bubble cuddle blanket, also extraordinary. The towels, the blankets, the sheets rather, all extraordinary. All available now to you for 40% off. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code two-way. And if you order by December 12th, you'll get it before Christmas. And if you miss that, you can still use the code two-way, but it's going to go down to 20% off. So act now. If you get the post-purchase survey pop-up and it says, how did you hear about Cozy Earth? Don't put in don't remember. Don't put in I think it was on the radio. Put in you heard about it on two-way. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays and carries into a cozy new year.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.